Associate Professor Dr. Alan to welcome you all. He is the Dean for the School of Computing and Creative Media. And then, yes, you can see a young guy, enthusiastic, attack that. He has a meeting later on. Unfortunately, the Senate meeting is happening at the campus, so he needs to excuse himself.
Yes. So, very good morning, everyone. I'm Alan. I'm the Dean of School of Computing and Creative Media. So, first of all, we welcome the delegates from University of Sonia, Prof. David and Dr. Sonia. Right? And I'm very excited. We are going to the new era of digital world with the release of ChatGPT. Right? Everyone heard about it. Dreaming also. I also dreaming. Always dream about the words. My kids also keep on reminding me. Now they're changing their words from Google to ChatGPT. Right? Last time we said everything we can Google, can YouTube now. No, my kids asked me to ChatGPT. How? I didn't teach the kids. They got everything, all this information from YouTube. You know, they are Gen Z. You know, the post millennials. The internet is their part of their gene. You know, so we cannot block them. So we have to embrace. You know, we embrace. Like the coming semesters, we encourage our students to embrace all this technology. But of course, we need to implement in order to let them be used ethically, not to fully copy everything from the internet. This is the thing we still need to implement to educate our young generation. Okay, so with all these digital tools that going to share by the Tallinn University later on, I think it will be useful for us later on how we're going to use it, you know, to integrate into our digital learning and teaching and learning methods, right? And once again, welcome to University of Technology Sarawak and welcome to Cebu Sarawak. For those who are first time to Cebu, welcome. Thank you.
So I will take around 5 to 10 minutes just to set the scene for and to give you a little background that how we are here, or why we are here somehow. Where we started into this discussion, so I'm thinking that it's important in any way, and in any case, slide. Yeah, so when we started, and I'm the head for the ASSET, Advanced Center for Socioeconomic and Technological Development, and I'm an associate professor in the School of Computing and Creative Media. My area of research is human computer interaction and information systems. That's how I met with David and Sonia, also somewhere. Our center is one of the two centers in the School of Computing and Creative Media. And just also to set a background also that why we are organizing these sort of events. So our focus is, and the research pillars are three. One is the digital inclusion part. Sarawak, I still remember my discussion with David first time when I was picking him from the airport in 2019. We were going back and we were talking about Estonia and Malaysia. And in terms of the infrastructure, what's the importance of that? So the digital inclusion part is somehow addressing that part that in Sarawak or in this context, the status of the digital inclusion and where we can support. So we have the last year some interesting event, like we have the policy dialogue with the policymakers, telecommunication companies. Some of our students also developed some tools for that. The second is the culture and technologies, which we are focusing on. As a content, Sarawak is very rich. It's a haven for these people now working in culture and technology. There you can find 60 different ethnic groups, culturally, sociologically, linguistically different from each other in that small part of the world. It's only in Sarawak, I think, one of the parts. So that's why we are really focusing on culture and technology. And for your information, we will also have a Sunday school next week at the Brunei Cultural Museum with some of our German collaborators, where we are focusing on digitizing the cultural content and using AI. And the third one is ICT for development. Again, me and David is in that space also for long. And then, so that's the part. In terms of the cross-cutting team, service learning is one of our components where our students are very much engaged. Some of the schools here, our staff members, with the Woodland or with the other government schools that engage our students every semester go there and do the project with the co-design is one of the things for us as a research component. I need to now switch off my mute my phone before that. Okay, the partnership and collaboration. Cebu is a small place for us. It's really small. You all know about it. And because of that part, so normally we really rely on partnerships to grow. And that's one of the reasons that we are approaching our international partners and requesting them to come over and visit us. So if the partners are coming over, it gives us more ideas and more collaboration opportunities. And that is really one of our strategy, actually, to cover that remoteness part and the challenges of remoteness. And community-based research, another strength for us is the communities with whom we are working. Again, our rural and remote community is one of our big strengths. Okay, next slide. So to give you a background of this, how this collaboration started between Tallinn University and UTS, it is established in 2019, 2020. Me and David met in Africa, in Namibia, and we started talking about it. And I was fascinated to see their work in Afghanistan. Like, it's amazing, like, what on this country and where Tallinn University is working. So I was discussing with him, why not you also come over to Malaysia and we start working here together. And my first, I have been invited by David to Wood, the World Usability Day in 2019, which was happening in Estonia. It was so interesting where I can see the industry, the startups in the university very close together. The World Usability Day, David organized with industrial partners. So the host was one industry partner and one university. It was not just a university event. So that was, for me, was a nice, actually, overview of Sonia. Then we signed an MOU between Tallinn University and UTS. Unfortunately, the COVID really disturbed our plan for the MOU and the exchange program, but still we push it and we did the summer school online, Tallinn University, UTS, and some partners from Namibia for the postgraduate students. Last year, DHT 8.0, David organized and the partner organized digital human technologies summer school for the postgraduate and especially PhD students, where I participated. We are now working with the Erasmus Plus proposals. You see how, and it's already submitted between Tallinn University, UTS, and UNICAL. Our partners from UNICAL are also there. Thank you very much for coming over all the way. We always come to Kuala Lumpur, and I'm not sure whether this is your first time here or in Cebu. And Sonia is here. Sonia is having this Trust ID project actually, and we will be having one of the Tallinn University students in the next few months here with us to do some field research here, which is also another part of the world. But you can. Some of the other, we were chairing. David was hosting Nordica, and I was co-chair for one of the track. Me and David are chairing the Interact doctoral consortium together. David is also part of our PDC 2024. So this is some sort of our collaboration which was happening. But in the meantime, I have been contacted by many other partners. For example, from JPM Sarawak, Ministry of Education from Kuala Lumpur, Dr. Ihsan. And he was asking that, oh, you have this partnership with Tallinn University, how it is happening. From UNIMAS, Dr. Katina approached me 1 or 2 times. Sarita from UNICAL, she asked me that how we can work with that. I will not talk about that we have a very, Sarawak has a very nice love relationship with Estonia. We really fascinate Estonia about it. So this approach was coming over to us. Dr. Allen was very much interested in education and edutech. Dr. Chu is working with the schools. So these were happening, and for us, when we met in DHT, we discussed actually about it, that when David and Sonia come, can we bring the people together? Who we can bring in? Next. Yes, so the interest one, yes, go next. Next. So the HTTP or they also called PPT. So is us, UTS, Unicare, Unimas, Swinburne, Xavier is here from Swinburne and Chilmaka both representing with the schools and the Woodland School. We are working with the human resource, and Sarawak State are very much dependent on us to give a strong human resource who support the digitization process in the state of Sarawak. So that's why all those you are here with purposely that we can, but we could have this as another academic event. So we were also looking at the technology partner. That's why we approached also Aztec, and thank you Aztec for coming over and supporting us in this whole process. So they invited the Aztec also requested that and invite the startup, tech startup. There's the Real Fun Learning Center is here, Learning College Chumbaka is here, our formatter is here. So that's the tech part. And the third one is on the process. I again and again remember, whenever we look at Estonia, we only look at technology part, which is also, but as an HCI people, we are always meant to set the scene that, oh, it's not just technology, we need to look beyond technology. So the process part for us is also very important. That's why Donald is here, as well as the SDEC partners are here. That how the education ministry, JPN, or those people are looking at the process part. Just the technology will not make any change unless that we have these two other components also. And this is again what I was mentioning, the first, my picking David coming over to his hotel, and the discussion between that we talked about it, that somehow Estonia has some sort of these parts that when they have a strong human resource left after the Russian part, the technology access is everywhere, internet access is quite strong, and then the processes side. I still remember that time 2019 before COVID, David was attending meeting online, he need not be there personally. He was giving, working with his kid on his homework from here. So it was before COVID what I'm talking about it. But those things need, for us, those things somehow need, and that's why we thought that we should all come over together for this event, so sit together somehow. Next slide. Okay, so that's why it's here. And if you see, our participation is by invitation. We purposely put it very small group, but by invitation only, that we have some more interactive discussion and more meaningful. I'm not sure how much outcome based it will be. So I'm not sure about the outcomes of this process, but the process, I'm sharing with you the process. And we believe if the process is strong and somehow holistic, the outcome will also come out. And now say next one. So the agenda, my welcome and Dr. Allen's welcome. We will keep it open now for the introduction. Maybe each one of us can introduce ourselves, so the speakers and everyone knows who are here. And then after that is what I mentioned in terms of the system. Maybe David and Sonia can share with us about the digital transformation in education and the background of the Estonian education system. What we normally have, as a host, I think I need to clear that part. That we normally think we will take the technology as a genset methodology, as a method, bring it over here, and it will work. So, but before that, I was thinking that we should better understand the Estonian education system first, and then some demonstration of one or two tools. David has something there, that how the parents and teachers and the students are using one of the tools in the school for the education. And then from there, it will be good that we do a group work, separate to let, and then come over to share about it, that what is the landscape in Sarawak for the schooling, higher education, and as well as now the skill development which is happening with Chumbaka, the learning curves and those ones. And then from there, we will still keep it open, opportunities for collaboration. we can see how we can collaborate in that. So we don't have any plan for actually. Of course, we are planning for some collaboration, but how that collaboration can help either every one of us here or maybe some of us here. Thank you very much. And I think we can go now for the introduction if you have any question or anything. There is some water here. Yes, if anyone need a water, and the washroom is outside, feel free. And the session will be until 12:30. In between, we will have a small break for tea. And then at 12:30, we will have the lunch break. Okay? If no question, David, maybe you introduce yourself first. Yes. Yeah, you will go through detail next.
Yes, Tariq likes to put me on spot. I don't know why. Okay, so thank you, Tariq, for the kind introduction. I will introduce myself and Sonia.
Okay.
So, Sonia is associate professor for interaction design at our university, Tallinn University, and I am a professor for human-computer interaction. I have some slides then to use later to provide a broader context, but like in a nutshell, that's it. Professor for interaction design and myself, human-computer interaction, like that. These are two fields that are very closely related, slightly different emphasis, but yeah, it's almost the same. And Scott is very interested in one specific aspect that is design of interactions. It's the issue of trust, human trust in technology, which is becoming more and more relevant with the advances of technology, yes? And that's the collaboration that Tariq mentioned before with the Oxford student coming over and doing some studies, because as you mentioned, Saros is very rich and very diverse, and for her this is like gold. Because for now she has been visiting different countries around the planet to make our work more and more robust, because it really needs to this kind of validation in different cultural contexts. But here then it's going to be gold, and it will be coming in August if I'm not mistaken. But that's it from our side. I'll have some slides.
Yes, you go by this way. You go.
Hi, my name is Jane Labadin. I'm from University of Malaysia, Sarawak. At the moment, I'm the director of Data Science Center at the university. The Data Science is a research center at the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology. So, Data Science Center is very new in the university. It's just less than a year old. So, basically, my background is actually applied mathematics. I'm doing mostly on business modeling, but because I work with data, and there's a lot of my colleagues who are doing research in data science, so therefore we thought that it's time to have a research center on data science. Yeah. So I am really thankful to Tariq for inviting. I'm looking forward to this interaction that we're going to have today, and hopefully that we will have some collaboration regarding education, because that is something that we should look into, especially now that the the technology is there, and because of the pandemic, everyone is moving towards using technology, and now with the ChatGPT as well, so we need to be responsible in using AI as well. So yeah, looking forward to have an interaction with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you and good morning to everyone. I'm Yong, Y-O-N-G. So it's a typical Asian surname, maybe a bit difficult for you. You just put insert you, then becomes Yang, easier for you. Right, I'm Yong. Serious now. I'm a school principal now. Just stone throw away, Woodland International School. Before I joined Woodland, I was with Methodist Secondary School in education for more than 30 over years. I think you look at me, you know. And thank you for this opportunity. The only paper that I wrote was 30 over years ago, when I was doing my first degree, that was a very simple paper. I was with the education, so I wrote, can computer replace teachers in classroom? So it didn't materialize after that. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Xavier. So I'm actually here on behalf of Swinburne University. During my spare time, I work with Chumbaka for STEM. So I'm actually interested in the digitalization of education, not just for the school students, but also at the university level as well. So very interested to see how we can collaborate further. So thank you very much for the invitation, Dr. Tarek.
Yeah, hi, I'm Donald Henry. I'm actually from the Ministry of Education, Innovation and Talent Development Sarawak, representing the ministry. STEM education is one of the focus areas within our ministry, so I'm looking forward to this discussion today that we have, and hopefully it will be very, very fruitful for each and every one of us. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to join the session today. We are from the Sarawak Digital Academy Corporation, or in short called as the SDAC. So just to brief everyone, we are the government-owned company which are interested to lead the digital academy implementation in Sarawak. And just to cover or summarize what we do consultancy on the digital transformation. We also do research and product development. We also have these telecommunication services that we offer, and digital academy implementation in Sarawak. And from my department, we are the innovation and entrepreneurship. So for me and Izatu, my colleague here, we focus on the STEM education for Sarawak. But the other part that we do are also how we want to grow our startup in Sarawak to go through the digital transformation. So we covered quite a broad area in terms of digital for Sarawak. And from this session today, I'm looking forward on how we can also do better for the students in Sarawak, and looking forward to collaborate with everyone of you. Thank you. Izatu, you want to add on to that? She's very shy. can call her Easy. Thank you.
Kenneth from the Learning Curve. We are STEM delivery partner for Ministry of Education in Sarawak and also in the federal as well. Currently, our main focus is developing digital hardware to replace textbooks, not only textbooks, teaching, learning, and also assessment for the primary schools tentatively 2025. So we look forward to see how other countries are doing, because we are still on a very early phase. And I also teach in Lamas, Faculty of Cognitive Science. I teach automation to the undergraduates. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Kenneth. This is I'm Theo. Normally my students call me Teacher Theo. I'm actually based out of Miri, which is northern part of Sarawak. So what we do is we trying to grow the next generation of problem solvers by teaching them programming, how to create games, websites, all kinds of apps and so on. So that's our focus. But as I said, at the same time, working very closely with Ministry of Education, Innovation and Talent Development on organizing hackathons. Say for example, NASA Space App Challenge is one of the big event that we have with the ministry, as well as some of the hackathons and competition with STAC. So we are part of the STEM delivery partners in Sarawak to run all these workshops and STEM programs. So yeah, looking forward to see how potentially we can learn from the university, Thailand universities, and how we can sort of collaborate in terms of planning. So thank you.
Well, David already introduced me, but my name is Sonia, and thank you for the invitation. Basically, my area of expertise is interaction design, but my background is in communication design, and distance education. I'm saying this because you mentioned education and different aspects. We also work in distance education, and we have been working in trust as the main key feature for creating more interactive and engaging education systems with technologies. And the idea is that trust is a way to appropriate technology and adopt technology. So we want to understand how trust influences the way you use technology and the way that technology can influences also your education. This is the main idea behind this topic of trust. And in Sonia, David is going to talk about what we do. We relate with technology in a daily basis. So technology is like part of our education system, part of our daily activities, and we have noticed that all of this technology that we use nowadays are part of our society and is becoming part of our culture as well, and it's influencing the way we act, interact, and behave in a daily based activities. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, hi, good morning everyone. My name is Nizam. I'm Deputy Dean Academic and Technology from University Kuala Lumpur, in short UniKL. So we came all the way from KL yesterday. Yes, I'm from Malaysia Institute of Information Technology, which is one of the faculty in UniKL. So we are focusing on IT. So yeah, we run all sort of IT programs from software engineering, games like Tullingham, and then networking and so on. And then thank you to Dr. Tariq for the invitation, and yeah, we are looking forward to listen to David and Sonia from Tallinn universities, what Estonia and Tallinn has to offer, and then possibility of collaboration. Maybe not only everything, could be programs as well as maybe up to national level possible. Yeah, and also all of you here. I did expect a lot of you from all Sarawak ministry as well. Okay, so hopefully we have a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Good morning and hi. Dr. Zaliza sent her regards to you and the whole team. She couldn't be here. So my name is Suryana Ismail. I'm from UKLMIT, and currently I'm attached to the postgraduate studies. And myself is a lecturer in software engineering. So great country, great partners here. So hopefully we can further do discussion and collaboration. Looking forward to learn from everybody. Thank you.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Ghazala, and I'm the postdoctoral research fellow at the SCM Institute called Advanced Center for Sustainable Socio-Economic Technological Development. And my research background is rural informatics, in which I specialized in the information communication technology for development. And here in UTS, actually, the school calls SCM, School of Computing Sciences, and the institute is called ASSET, and where Dr. Tariq is the director.
Hi, good morning. Miss Masia, you can call me Max. I'm from ETS, Center of University Courses and Innovative Learning. Okay, looking forward for this section. Thank you.
Hi, morning everyone. I'm Jackie. I'm a head of program for Bachelor of Mobile Game Development. So currently, we are also having a subsidiary company under UTS. So I'm mainly for Meta, and here with my partners. And actually, the focus of this company is more towards digitalization and tech solutions, especially with a lot of AI bundle stuff. And looking forward if there's any chances for collaboration or any research potential and so forth. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dennis. So it's glad to be here because I'm able to meet some of the colleagues in the past and also my old headmaster. So I'm from so I'm from Methodist as well. So yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm associated with Asset Research Center as well, and also currently a postgraduate student in UTS. So hopefully I can learn something today. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Gary Law. I'm a PhD student under Dr. Tariq. Also associated with Asset Research Center. My research is based on community-based core design, basically looking at how to work with community. So my research case is basically doing a lot of things on the network side, how to pull up community networks, how community can share the network, how they actually can own the network. So this is my research area. Thank you.
Okay, morning all. So I'm Chiu. I'm head of program for the computer science. Okay, I'm same department as Gary. So currently we're working with Gary mostly for the community service. Okay, so one of our collaborators for the school will be the Zhengzhen Chinese school. So now we have some test case in this particular school, especially for the network, for meaningful connectivity. So today we come and thank Direct and also Gary for the invite. Yeah. So we're looking forward to how we can contribute in this digital education. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Sylvester from SJK Chungcheng. So I am the representative from the school, and actually thank you Dr. Tarek for inviting me come to this discussion today, and looking forward. So what can I bring back to my school and help our children, because my school actually is quite not quite rural, but we have network coverage, but it's quite weak, and so we are very happy because UTS can collaborate with us and helping the children how they can keep in touch and how they can use the technology to learn something from the world, because everyone knows that from rural areas in Sarawak right here, it's quite difficult for them to keep in touch with the world. So we're looking forward from everyone here, and hopefully can bring something fruitful to our school next time. Okay, thank you.
Hello, good morning everyone. I'm the last one. Okay, I'm Eileen from UTS. I'm attached to School of Computing and Creative Media. And for all this year, I've been working with Chumbaka to the Savior for the Young Innovator Program. And then I'm also working with Woodlands teachers for the STEM modules development. Yeah, I'm happy to learn from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have two more people here. Asun?
Very good morning, everyone. My name is Kasun. I am a postgraduate student and also a teaching assistant, and also a research assistant of Asset. Nice meeting all of you, and you can approach me if you need anything today.
Sipping?
Hello, I'm Sipping. You can call me Yong, but not Y-O-N-G, it's Y-I-I-O-N-G. And I'm the Deputy Dean of SCM. Looking forward to gain some more knowledge from you all. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Kasun. So Kasun is also recording the session, but that is only for us, actually, for internal circulation. If we agree at the last component that we are bringing something like out from that, like in a collaboration opportunities or challenges with a short video, then we will also disseminate it. But in any case, if anyone has any objection on the video recording before making it public, please let us know. I will share with you, and then you let us know, and then we can take it that one out. So it's just like Yeah. David, it's going to be over to you. No, not that will be the last one. Yeah. I just keep space for you.
No, I'll see.
Okay.
Because I want to control it, but I want to pick up my notebook.
Yes.
So I can write down some ideas as they come along. Maybe someone else to sit here. Okay, so thank you again, Tarek, for the opportunity to share some of the stuff that is growing in Estonia. So I'll begin by providing an overview of the university so that you understand where we come from, and then I move on to the topic of the meeting today.
So very interesting this as well.
Yeah. So I don't mirror my screen usually. It's a private thing, obviously, because I'm not switching down all the applications. And then that's the screen background that my students see. We should be working now because it's like they start struggling trying to see what is it. And then when they figure it out, yeah, you should be working now. Yes. If no slide is there, if no information there, they should be working, right? That's it's not meant for you, sorry. It's for my students. It's for my students. That's what they see. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, then and Tariq as well, both Sonia and myself, we are faculty members of Tallinn University. So I want to provide a bit of context in terms of where are we located at the university, so that you then understand the broader context and you can make the best out of this scene connection that we have currently. Yeah. So if I understand correctly, and then Tariq can correct me if I'm wrong, and you can help me steer my intervention in the right direction. What the main aim is. Both Sonia and myself, we are faculty members of Tallinn University. So I want to provide a bit of context in terms of where are we located at the university, so that you then understand the broader context and we can make the best out of this scene connection that we have currently. Yeah. So if I understand correctly, and then Tariq can correct me if I'm wrong, and you can help me steer my intervention in the right direction. What the main aim is for us to try to identify potential areas of common interest so that we can further develop cooperation, right? And if this is correct, then I'm very sad to say that most probably we will not be working together, but you will be working together with my colleagues. Yeah, not necessarily with me, right? My field, as Tariq mentioned, is human-computer interaction. Human-computer interaction is a very kind of broad field with a strong emphasis on the context and those actually interacting with the technology, not just the technology itself. But because it's like this kind of broad field, we tend to have like a spider. We have a web of connections with people doing different kinds of work in this broader realm, right? So if someone at some point will say that, oh, I'm really interested in digital learning games, then that's not me. But I will make the contact with the right people working on the topic so that we can work together. Yeah. So just to clarify that, what I'm going to present today is very holistic. Yes. There, in between, there might be a little bit of our work, my work or Sonia's work. I'll point it out if needed, if relevant. But in many cases, what I'll be doing the moment later when you say, oh, that's very interesting for me, is that with Tariq we'll establish this connection and we'll facilitate this connection. Yes? So not necessarily with myself or with Sonia, but with those that are actually working on the topics that are interesting. So, Tallinn University is situated in Tallinn, which is the capital of Estonia. This is one of the main roads of the city. It's not a very big city, it's 400,000 inhabitants. Estonia is a very small country, 1.3 million, which explains why many things can be done so quickly. The city itself, the capital, has around 400,000 inhabitants. A little bit more if you consider some of the villages around it, but it's still less than 500,000. And this is the university here. This is it's a Nordic country, so it's a very cold country, quite the opposite of your country, so it's really cold there. This is a picture in a nice day in summer, yeah. And summer can be very nice. It's very lit, right? Because it's so north. We have like white nights. There's almost no night. Sunset around midnight, 1 in the morning, and then sunrise around 2, 3 in the shortest. When the night is the shortest, then it's the opposite than in winter. Winter, everything is very dark. We've got very few hours of sunlight. Yeah, so it's the opposite. Now we are in between. And it changes like this very fast, right? So now we are in this changing, and the days are very fast, becoming very large, very long, and then it will be up there with very long days for about 2-3 months. So this is definitely a picture on one of those days. Summer can be very unpredictable, so it can be warm and nice and sunny throughout mostly June, July, and August it starts to chill down, but it can also be just unpredictably rainy, and then this kind of nice picture is not possible, right? There's a joke and an anecdote in Estonian culture about summer. One Estonian asked another one, how did you spend summer? And then she's replying, I was working that day, right? Because it was like very, very short summer, right? So sometimes it happens that there is like a very nice day in summer and everything gets like wet and tough. Yeah. So nice, bright day, not typical, but university is typical, yes? And the campus is closed and everything is kind of connected with bridges and because it's so cold outside that we just basically live inside. It's the opposite of what we see obviously in your country, right? So basically we live inside buildings. In all entrances there are big places for us to leave our boots and jackets and everything, and inside we work with we work and walk with t-shirts and sometimes just lofters or flip-flops or tennis shoes, not the stuff that we use outside. And that's so harsh is the weather most of the study time. Yeah, most of the study time. School is closed during summer so that people can actually enjoy the sunlight. Yes. So that's when we have our main school break. Okay, so but this said in terms of context. Estonia, small, Nordic, cold mostly, nice summer most of the time, but sometimes not. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the Baltic Sea over there, and we are very close to it university-wise. So the university is relatively young. It was established 2005. Sorry, the slides are slightly different here and there, but I think we can cope with it. It was established 2005 by the Estonian Parliament by bringing together all these former institutes. So Tarik briefly mentioned it. So Estonia used to be, well, from the Estonian perspective, the Soviet Union occupied Estonia for a long period of time. From the Soviet Union perspective, Estonia was a Soviet republic during that period of time. But so let's from our side we call it the occupation period. So during the occupation period, and the Soviet education system prevailed, and it was organized in a different way. So these are like some leftovers of that period of time, and then by 2005, Estonia was finally able to bring all of this together under the umbrella of Tallinn University. So Tallinn University is one of the 3 universities in the country. There's Tallinn University, Tallinn University of Technology, which is purely focused on engineering, and Tartu University, which is one of the oldest in the world, together with in the world, yes, in the let's say in the Western world, together with a number of very old universities in Europe. They form something that is called Coimbra Group. Yeah, so if you Google for Coimbra Group, Coimbra, I can spell it out later. This is a group of very, very old universities in Europe, established basically by monks, long time ago. And Tartu University is one of those universities. Inside Estonian universities, they share responsibilities, so they coexist. They don't compete. There are some on the fringes. There are some areas of some overlapping areas, but university they work in different fields. They complement in our field, let's call it, if we talk about IT or informatics, in our field, the three universities complement in this way. TAP University work with fundamental computers, so computer science. Computer science in TAP University, Thai University of Technology, they developed the IT side of informatics, so everything that is IT related to, let's say, either programming languages or new hardware or whatever it is that is like technology heavy that's on Tallinn University of Technology. In our university, we handle computing from the human side. So we host, I will show you later, we host these two areas, technology and advanced learning or educational technologies. That's our university's responsibility in terms of IT and also human-computer interaction. So the human side of computing is handled by our university. So and this is kind of established, it's an agreement between university and established by the Minister of Education that we need to cooperate, not to compete with each other, because the country is so small, it's kind of pointless fights for the same scarce resources. So yeah, so this university was established in 2005. It was like very fragmented with number of institutes, so this was all kept. They just became like institutes or units of the university, the university. When we moved into this university, Sonia and myself, it was still organized like this, and we went into the Institute of Informatics, which should be, maybe it's not there because we are presenting on behalf of the Institute of Informatics, but yes, we became faculty members of the Institute of Informatics under this configuration. And then between 2010, that's when we joined the university, 2015, then internal rearrangement was in motion, and since 2015, then we organized ourselves around 5 focus fields: educational innovation, digital media and culture, cultural competences, healthy and sustainable lifestyle, and society and open governance. So this became the focus fields of the university. The university assumed that this is where we want to excel. If we want to do research and work, we're going to work in these 5 fields. And then 6 schools were established. So these 5 fields, they are transversal to all schools: education innovation, digital media and culture, cultural competences, society and open governance, and healthy and sustainable lifestyle. This is transversal to all schools, and then 6 schools were established. And this is apparently very simple, but quite meaningful for us, because the first question that the rectorate will ask when we say, we would like to open an education, a new curriculum on something, they will just ask, where does it fit? If it fits in this 5, that's okay. If it doesn't fit in this 5, then it's out. Yeah, it's out of our focus field, it's out of our scope. So this really guides on the highest level. This really guides decision making. It also keeps the university focused on what we do, and this is what we do. We do these 5 things. Period. If it's outside of the scope, we are not doing it until the moment where we revise this, because life goes on, and of course we need to adjust and adapt. But in order to maximize our, let's say, cooperation, that's why we call them focus fields. And then to enable these focus fields, then 6 schools were established based on these different areas here. Yeah? And the 6 schools are the School of Humanities, which kind of brought together all these smaller institutes. Yeah? School of Humanities, the School of Natural Sciences and Health, the School of Digital Technologies. This is the school that Sonia and I represent here today, that incorporated the Institute of Informatics, of Information Science and Mathematics. They all came together in the School of Digital Technologies. Then there is the Baltic Film, Media and Art School. This is a very high reputation film school in that part of the world. And the School of Educational Sciences. And that incorporates also these 3 former institutes. And finally, the School of Governance, Law and Society. So all of these 6 schools were established to enable this on the basis of what was there before. Right? So, and this was like internal discussion. It was a mixed process, top-down and bottom-up. So there was this incentive, top-down on getting ourselves together and organizing ourselves, and then bottom-up, the different institutes and faculties, they organized themselves, seeking collaboration in meaningful ways. So this was not like imposed, but kind of negotiated both ways. And we are very happy with what we managed to get, the situation we managed to get for the School of Digital Technologies, which is understood inside the university as a transversal school that enables all other schools. So we actually cooperate with all other schools. We cooperate a lot with the schools of of natural sciences and health in solutions for health and well-being. We cooperate a lot, of course, with Baltic Film Media and Art School because of new media mostly, and with School of Educational Sciences in the field of educational technology. So whatever it is that we're going to discuss here today usually results from the cooperation between our school and the School of Educational Sciences, yes, in terms of what you can eventually be doing with our university. And that's why I said that in most cases it's not work that we'll be carrying out further with Sonia and myself, but rather with colleagues from the university. So we are trying to provide you this bigger picture. In terms of our school, the School of Digital Technologies, it's also in this building in the 3rd and 4th floor. We run a number of labs and so research facilities and also learning facilities and resource facilities, technical and human resource facilities. So as I mentioned before, it results from the junction of this informatics, information science, and mathematics. And currently, internally, we are organized around these 5 departments. We call them academic directions, but the typical, this is like the literal translation from Estonian language. But in a common understanding, these are the departments inside our school of faculty. And these are applied informatics, technology and learning. We write usually educational technology here because people usually search for this, but we call it technology and learning, so learning enhanced by technology, for an emphasis on what we want to promote, not on the technology itself. So because technology by itself, from our perspective, is kind of meaningless. It needs to have like a purpose, and that's why it's like that. Human-computer interaction, and this is the department that hosts Sonia and myself. I am currently the head of this department, then information science, and then mathematics, and didactics of mathematics. Tallinn University has a strong background in pedagogy and teaching, and that's why there's the didactics appears in all of the schools. So in all of the schools, we train teachers for that specific kind of topics. And teacher training in Estonia is taken very seriously. It takes as long to prepare a teacher as it takes to prepare a doctor, a medical doctor. So it's as long. The program is really long. It's not like a short thing and then you can go teach. It's a really, so there's internship. They follow, basically it's like a parallel, it's like the same process until you are like a certified autonomous teacher. Okay? It's a long process. So in all schools, the didactics of something are very important. In our school, we established recently a professorship on the didactics of informatics and mathematics. Yes, so it combines this one and this one. So we've got 3 professorships. I mean, when I say professorships, these are like the tenured professor. We've got a tenured professor in human-computer interaction. We've got a tenured professor in the didactics of informatics and mathematics, and we've got a tenured professor in technology and learning. Yeah, so far that's what we have in our school. All schools have approximately 2-3 tenured professors, and then the rest of the team, they are meant to be supported by these tenured professors. Higher education in Estonia is very competitive, so we need to fight for resources. Some people are very successful in harvesting this kind of resources. Sonia is one example of those that is very successful in getting projects approved, funded, granted, and she has been able to feed and to grow a very nice and solid research team. But this is not the case in all areas. So it's very competitive, and these tenured professors are just people that eventually met the requirements to be elected as tenured professors, and they are relieved a bit from this stress of securing funds to grow their teams because they are centrally funded, and then their responsibility becomes to support others rather than to grow their own profile. So tenured professors, they have basically almost guaranteed funding, and I say almost guaranteed because it's not like limitless, but then their role is not so much to grow themselves or their own teams, is to grow others. Yeah? So it's like it's a two-sided gift, right? It's not like, okay, now you got the funds and you can do whatever. No, you got the funds, but now you need to grow others. Growing yourself, been there, done that. Now you need to focus on others. So it's like our internal policy. The common theme of our school is digital transformation. It has been for a while. It has been since 2015, so that's how it was established. promoting this digital transformation. So whatever it is that we do inside our school is usually grounded on this contribution towards the digital transformation of something, and the somethings that we work on are these, just going back, let you know that these themes, right? So when we focus on something, we focus on this, yes? So our school mainly focused on digital transformation within the context of either education innovation, digital media and culture, cultural competences, society and open governance, and health and sustainable lifestyle. So that's the program. So these things, they are kind of simple. They are presented like like this, in slides, and sometimes internally in the school, they are like socialized like this. And sometimes our colleagues, they fail to understand the impact of this, because if we don't understand this, then we are sometimes unable to place our ideas. Because they need to, the first question inside the school is, how does it relate to digital transformation? And then, if it relates to digital transformation, then how does it fit the 5 focus fields of the university? And if it doesn't fit this, then it's like, why should we care? Because that's not our focus, we are doing something else. Yeah? So it really helps us keep our focus. So it provides us also important context. So inside the school, then we offer different programs. There's very few bachelor level curriculum provided by Estonian universities in general. They are very kind of classic and focused. Informatics is basically the same in all 3 universities. The bachelor program is basically the same in the 3 universities, in Tallinn University of Technology, our university, in Tartu University is basically the same, with a slightly different focus, like with the optionals. In bachelor program is 3 years long, and there's very few optionals on the 3rd year that allows a bit of focusing, but everything else is very much the same. Information science is basically the same in the university that is provided, mathematics as well. It's basically the same in all universities. And that's because the core training, the Ministry of Higher Education believes that the core training should provide the same possibilities to all students. And then they can proceed and study for their masters, and then that's where we start to kind of diverge. So there's a huge number of masters when compared to the number of bachelors. Bachelors are very short, very concrete, very focused. And then in masters, we can really go broad and specialize. In Estonian language, this is what we offer: information sciences, management of information technology. This one is heavily co-run with industry, this management of information technology, because industry is really strong in IT in Estonia. Educational technology, teacher of mathematics and teacher of informatics. As you can see, one of the tenures supports this one, and yet the other tenure supports these 2, teacher of mathematics and teacher of informatics. So we prepare teachers as well inside our school. For these 2, we don't have tenured professors. And this one is only offered in Estonian because it's really connected with schools. So all the students are teachers. So it's a prerequisite to attend this master. They need to be teachers. Teachers in training. They are not yet teachers. They are in this internship part of their training. And then everything that they do in course-wise or master thesis-wise, it's related with their own practices. And that's why it's run in Estonian, because it's connected with the Estonian school system. Then in English, we offer human-computer interaction, digital learning games, and today in the afternoon we discuss digital learning games with some of the teams from the university. Open society technologies, interaction design. This is a master's run together with Cyprus University of Technology, and Sonia is the director of this master program, this interaction design. This is fully online, so if you are interested in fully online programs that are practice-based, not practice-based, but they are project-based and problem-based, you can discuss with Sonia a bit later, because I mean it's not distance education in the sense that you go, you take your materials, you read, and then you answer some questions. Interaction design is very hands-on kind of learning, and finding solutions to enable this hands-on kind of learning was and is still a challenge. So if you want to learn a bit more about that, that would be with Sonia a bit later. It's a joint program with Cyprus University of Technology, as I mentioned. And this predates COVID. I mean, it was being offered already before. And then at the top level, we have only one program, Information Society Technology doctoral program. And this one is run in English, and I am the head of this program. It's a very broad spectrum program. We take 5 to 6 students every year. Not more than that, because we really want to support them. And most of the students, it's not a requirement, but it's a strong recommendation that the students are hired by us as junior researchers. So we should have running projects to secure students to work with us, and then they are just like staff. They join our teams and they work together with us. They also take some teaching responsibilities. Very light, it's like 5 to 10%, not more than that. I'm very strict on that. I don't allow people to go over, or I try not to allow people to go over, because they should focus on their studies, but sometimes it happens. We also take some external students when relevant, so students that are students from in our master program, in our local program, that are not residing with us. Sometimes they are actually abroad, sometimes they are common. They are students that are taking our program and another program, and then we sign an agreement so that both regulations can come together and support the student, not hinder his or her progress. But yeah, that's the highest level that it can go. We discussed before maybe cooperation with this online program, because we have like units that can be joined by students from Sarawak, or we can have units that can be offered can be intermingled with existing curriculum in Sarawak. But then we didn't proceed, right? We had like 3 years without communication because of this COVID thing. Everything kind of slowed down until we picked it up recently. Yeah, so digital does not replace human contact. Yeah, it complements, but it does not replace human contact. Yeah, so that's the broader context. Okay, so this is where we live. Yeah, we live in this both Sonia and myself. We live in this school that offers these programs. Yeah, this is the school. In this university with different other schools with whom we can help you create connections, and that is focusing on these five fields. Okay, so regarding university, I guess that's about it. Just context so that you understand that sometimes if I'm providing an answer or Sonia, we are just pointing towards our colleagues, and we'll be very happy to make the connections. Moving on then to the core topic of the presentation today, then when Tariq.
Excuse me, David.
Yes.
Can I ask
Of course,
about
you
the
can.
program just now that
Yes.
you're mentioning? The doctoral program,
yeah.
is that by research or?
It's mostly by research. So it's a four-year program. In European context, it's 240 credits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 60 credits per year, 30 credits per semester, and only 30 credits are taught. So 30 credits are taught, but they are taught in a very flexible way. So it's these credits, they can be claimed in different ways, but 30 credits are taught credits. Everything else is by research.
I see.
In order to graduate, students, they need to publish at least one journal paper in. I'm sure that you are familiar with these rankings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a local ranking also in Estonia, so we need to meet some requirements. So it's a journal paper that meets some requirements, with some very strict requirements, and 2 conference papers with peer review and publication proceedings that also meet some very specific requirements, like CHI would be a typical case in our case. So 1 journal paper, 2 conference papers that are published, and then an analytical overview. So it's a thesis like 50 to 70 pages that brings together the papers, because we consider plagiarism if the student refers copies of basically the text from these papers into the thesis. So he needs to make the corrections, but not duplicate the text. So we emphasize synthesis, not volume. So it's a very short analytical overview. It's usually a challenge for the student to put everything into 50 to 70 pages, and then the articles in appendix. A typical student graduates with a 70-page, 75-page analytical overview. They usually stretch a little bit, and typically with 5 articles. This is our average: 2 journal papers and then 3 conference papers, and this analytical overview.
And how about the masters? The one.
The masters, all our masters
fully
are
online. The one you mentioned just now.
Yeah, both the fully online and let me put it on. Both the fully online. Yeah, it's fine. Both the fully online and the other masters, they are all 2-year programs. So with
that's top cost.
Sorry?
Top cost, fully top cost.
Not fully, no. So it's almost, but not fully. 2-year program with 120 credits. Master thesis accounts for 30 credits, so one semester, no courses, just to write a master thesis. In some of the programs, the preamble to the master thesis, in all programs, the preamble to the master thesis is called master thesis seminar, and it can be split in different semesters, and this master thesis seminar can be as large as 15 or 16 credits, or as small as 6 credits. It really depends on the program. Yes. So that, but there is then up to 35% of the program that can be just research based, the master thesis. In all master theses, we require empirical work, and then the master thesis should reflect the empirical work conducted by the students. So it's not writing the thesis that is important, it's actually conducting the work that allows the student to then write a nice thesis. Again, theses are quite short, 50 to 70 pages, and they should be built on empirical work. I think that the only kind of thesis that we would allow that does not require hands-on lab or field work is the kind of master thesis that is built on systematic literature review, right? Yeah. If it's properly done, of course, right? Because we consider that kind of desk research also adequate if there is a need for it. Yeah. But that's the only kind of desk research option that they have. But then it needs to be properly done with a strict protocol and rich data set. Otherwise, again, no, not relevant. In many cases, master students, they end up publishing papers with the supervisors because we really push them to do very, very good work. And topics are negotiated between the students and the supervisors. The students cannot just say, I want to do something. Because then there's very little chance for people to be supervised. There's no interest, yes. And we have all sorts of configurations, like project-based, like it can be 3 students working on a project and writing 3 different master theses on the same project. 3 different perspectives, that's totally fine. They can be, we encourage connection with industry, so it can be industry-based master thesis, no problem. But there needs to be some learning out of it, right? And this is the main requirement, yeah. Yes, thank you for interrupting me. So I ask everyone to interrupt me whenever you feel that you should interrupt. Just ask the question, okay? Okay, so now I'm engaging in a presentation that I'm not very familiar with, because this is like bigger than me, obviously. It's the presentation about Estonia and education in Estonia. Yeah? I put it together with the help of different colleagues and the help of the Ministry of Education as well, to whom I asked for some content. So there are some slides mingled with some videos. We'll go through it step by step. I was sharing my concern with Tarek before because I never delivered this presentation before. It's the first time I'm doing it. So I'm not sure about the timing. Yeah? So feel free to nudge me, like move forward, David, or to stop me if you feel that I'm rushing through something that is really interesting for you. I think that the videos that the Ministry of Education provided will fulfill the role to trigger some curiosity so that you can ask questions. I'm quite well informed about the ecosystem that facilitates what I'm going to show. I have just not done this presentation before, but I am quite familiar with the ecosystem from different perspectives, from research perspective, from academic management perspective, as a parent as well, because our kids attend school in Estonia, so we know the systems inside out as well, because we work with our kids at home. So feel free to just stop me. So now let's get into it then. Let me try to make it happen. The films, the short movies, they have sound. I will use my computer. I don't believe that there is sound there, no? Probably not, right? Because it's VGA. But my computer is loud enough speakers, yeah? So it should be okay. So let's begin then. Okay, so and then I will send you also through Tarek the links to some of the information that we're going to provide now here. So this is the beginning of our presentation about Estonia, smart solutions for Estonian education, which I believe is the theme that we would like us to foster today, right? The discussion that we'd like to start at least today. I doubt that will be like concrete solutions, but at least some discussion. So I have an initial video to trigger your curiosity. Let's jump into it.
There are countries that take education seriously, and then there are countries with a blackboard centered on their flag. How has a country of 1.3 million people achieved the digital revolution of the entire education system and top rankings in PISA testing and international Olympiads, while incubating brilliant edtech companies and much more? First, the innovative startup mindset. We are confirmation that the significant changes decisively implemented in the 90s have worked thanks to innovative reforms. We dare to change things. Nowadays, we change the whole world piece by piece. Home of Skype, Wise, Bolt, and others. Estonia has one of the highest number of startups per capita, which includes brilliant edtech companies reshaping the education scene. Second, the digital society. Project Tiger Leap, proposed by now former President of Estonia, Toomas Hendrik Ilves, led to the digitization of the whole public sector from governments to tax returns, boosting innovation and transparency in many fields. In education, for example, there's eSchool, an online platform working as an e-diary, a learning environment and report card for students, a communication channel for teachers and parents, and a source of valuable statistics for state and municipalities. With many textbooks digitized, much of an Estonian student's school bag is in the cloud. But third, and perhaps most important of all, the ambition and curiosity to learn. Through the generations, Estonians have held education in school in high esteem. Schools maintain a high degree of autonomy to create their curriculum and learning methodology. Lifelong learning has become a lifestyle. And not just schools and students, but the whole country takes pride in the top rankings in PISA testing and international Olympiads. This is how you become an education nation like Estonia.
Yeah, okay, it kind of it sets the stage, but it's not all. Let's try to move on with that. Okay, so I got distracted by that animation. Sorry. As it was mentioned in the video before as well, right? So it's a very small country, a very small population, but there's a bit of information here that tells a lot about the country. This one, 99% of public services online, right? And I guess that this is what makes all the difference, actually, really, even regarding education, right? It's that we really enjoy in Estonia a digital society, and this is for ages already. Yeah? So this has been there already for quite a while. It's not recent, and it was a decision taken in the early 90s, a rational decision on how to enable Estonia to survive economically, because Estonia could not keep up with the costs of running physical, let's say, front desks to citizens, getting offices open and managing queues. So the decision to digitize the state was taken in the 90s as a rational decision to cut costs of running the country. The country could not be run in a different way. It was the only way for Estonians to make it happen. So they deconstructed the previous bureaucratic approach to managing the state that was the legacy of the Soviet Union, and they built it from scratch as a digital nation. They started building it in the 90s. They got the infrastructure ready by the late 90s, and the infrastructure is basically what allows citizens to access. So it's authentication, and there are two levels. One of them is authentication, YM, and the other one is digital signature, of course. Yeah. So to commit. So it's the authentication and the commit. These two mechanisms, they were developed very early in the state digitization initiative in the 90s, so quite a while ago. And by the late 90s, beginning of 2000s, then the national infrastructure was ready, and these two mechanisms were widely implemented, and then everyone could start connecting to the digital services. So the statewide infrastructure is called X Road, This is like sorry, I get distracted and then I need to look for. Don't worry. It's really, I get distracted very fast. So it really and the words go away. It's an interoperability infrastructure. So the X road is an interoperability infrastructure. Those that are IT among yourself, you understand this. And this was the first building block of our estate. Yeah, this digital interoperability framework. The thing was established. This is the X road. It's basically protocol that runs over internet, and from that moment onwards, all systems were either adapted to it, so they had to integrate into this backbone, this X road. So the existing systems, legacy systems, they had to be kind of made to talk with this infrastructure, and new systems were always built so that they could talk with this infrastructure. So currently, all the databases in Estonia are connected with this X road. There's no data duplication. So basically, there is rationalization country-wise. Yeah. So my data is not in two databases. My name with my ID card, with my address resides only in the population registry. That's it. This information is not in the bank, is not in universities, nowhere else. It's in one place. Yeah. And my ID card, my ID code, this is my foreign key, right? And any school, any bank can just access it. So if I go to the school, I register, I use my ID card to log in and then to sign the contract with the school. Now I'm a student, and the school gets the right to get this information from the population registry. And in any of these systems, I can just come and say, and I change my address. And when they change it, they don't change in their database, they change it in the infrastructure. So it goes to the population registry and it's automatically updated for all entities in the country. So it's really like rationalized database. Yeah? There's no data redundancy in Estonia, absolutely no data redundancy with this infrastructure. And this was established in the 90s. Right? So this is the basis, this X road, and then the facility for us to identify ourselves and to commit ourselves in specific transactions. And of course the legal framework that comes with this. Yeah? Without this, many of the things that I'm going to show today, they are not possible. Yeah? So it's important to understand that some of the things that we discuss because of the infrastructure. Without it, it's just pointless. Yeah? So this was a decision very, very early in the history of the state of Estonia, and that leads to this 99% of public services online. And this 99% was 99% when the site was created, and if I'm not mistaken, it's already 100% right now. So there are two things. There were two things that we could not do online: sell and buy property, like houses, real estate, and weddings and divorces. They could not be done online. Now they can be done online. I mean, you can process.
Impact of COVID.
No, not really. It was just lacking. It was just lacking. I mean, to create the mechanisms to actually verify all transactions. No, not COVID. Not COVID. Just in the agenda. Yeah. The first thing that we did online was taxes. Yeah. The first thing was taxes. And that was actually the kickstart of the entire process. Okay? So the moment that Sonia was able to offer the declaration of income online, they knew that they had to get it right, and if they would get it right, they would get people on board. So they really created a very comprehensive system, and the reward was very simple. If you declare your taxes online, then you will get your deductions returned to you, bank transfer in less than a week. So people were, of course, instead of waiting 3 months for the money to be brought back into the bank account, they could get it in 1 week, then people started doing it online. And in the first year it was like 25%, and then we closer to 50%, and now it's 99%. And it's really just a click because everything is connected. Because everything are electronic transactions. We don't have papers, you don't get receipts or invoices, everything is really digital. If you want something on paper, you need to ask. I want that on paper, otherwise you just get it on your email. All citizens have an st.ee email address. When you are born, we register you, there's a name, there's a citizen code, which is like our social security number. We don't have it, we call it ID code, personal ID code. One is assigned to you when you are born, and then immediately on that moment, your name and the identity code at st.ee, they become your permanent email address. It doesn't change through your life. It's automatic. Yeah? So I've got one which is david.lamas@st.ee, and that's it. it's my responsibility to forward it to any inbox that I use. Yeah, because the st.e does not have an email. I need to point it somewhere. So the message needs to be, it's basically a forwarding address, right? But all state notifications go to that address, and they are considered delivered, period. There's no discussion, I was not home, mail did not arrive, I didn't see the message. It's my responsibility as a citizen in the legal framework to make sure that that is pointing to some place. And if it's not, it's my problem, not the state's problem. I need to make, so my son is turning 18 right now, and 3 months before, then 2 months before, then he's getting these messages that please go and update your pointer. It's still pointing to your parents. Please go. Yeah, now when he turns 18, he becomes of age, and it needs to point to his own email address, period. That's it. Yeah. So all of that enables most of the things that we are going to talk about today, right? So it's really there. We don't see it. I mean, Tariq has visited us already a couple of times at least. You don't see it in the streets, right? It's not like digital. It's not screaming digital. It's just digital everywhere. Because then when people need to log in, they log in with the phone. That's it. We don't need a code, a card. There's a single sign-on mechanism for the entire country, right? There's only one provider. Yeah. Actually, there are several providers, but you can adopt one, because that's the other thing in Estonian state is that solutions are not created by the state. The state creates the conditions for the solutions to be offered, but then companies are providing the solution. So authentication can be provided by your bank to all services, not just the bank, but to all services. It can be provided by companies that are offering services like, I will show you. Can I just break the presentation for a while? Because it provides a background. Sorry, I said I have not done this presentation before, so bear with my, please bear with my randomness. So st.ee. If internet connection is working fine, then pop up. So this is the state portal. I'll make the window a little bit smaller because part of the screen is being cropped. Okay, so this is the state portal, and you can get it in English somewhere here. Let's put it in English so that okay. So this is the state portal. See, the submission of income tax return is now open, and they're just saying you can do it until 2nd of May. You can just do it online, and then if you want to log in here. If you want to log into the state portal, let me see if I'm not, yeah. See, you can log in with the ID card, which is the thing that I've got here. And for you to log in with the ID card, my wallet is getting cold. If I want to log in with the ID card, this is the ID card. So typical ID card. If I want to log in with the ID card, then I need to have a card reader, right? I always carry one because sometimes there's not good conditions and I might need to use it, just USB. And so I use ID card to log in, or I can use mobile ID. Mobile ID is basically the information that is here. My private key is replicated in my SIM card, and I can just use this as authenticator instead of using my card. That's mobile ID. It's active on the phone. I can use smart ID. So mobile ID and smart ID, this is provided by the state, yeah, because it's a service attached to the card. But mobile ID and smart ID, these are provided by telco operators. Some provide the service, some not. You pay the service like 30 cents per month to get this active, your SIM card with this kind of service. Smart ID is paid indirectly through taxes, but this is provided by a private company. And the EU ID is basically the gateway to other countries in Europe, and if they sign the protocol, they can log in with their own ID cards, yeah, into the Estonian state portal. And in this state portal, that's where you can do the 99% of the service, if not 100%. If I go to Smart ID, then I just need to put my code. It's not difficult. It's just like I'm a male, born in some decade. That's what the 3 means. Then it's my birth date. Yeah, born in 66, May 14. And then 0066.
There's so much information.
Yeah, you can show that. But this is public. I mean, this is published in state portal. I mean, if you want to know what your number means, and then this is a check. This is a check number 0066, and it's calculated based on this. You can already see where the 6 comes from, right? But there's a formula, very simple mathematical formula to get to this number. Okay? So, and if I want to log in, I just do this, and then eventually I get something here. Yes, notification. I open the Smart ID app. I check the number to see that it's me, 0808. I need to click it so that I know that I'm logging in on that, and then I just put my PIN code and I should log in. This is just one authentication possibility. I can use this one if there is internet access, or I can use the card if I don't have my phone connected or mobile ID, and then this is the state portal. I can already see myself. Yeah, this is my. It immediately shows me my medical doctor, the one that is assigned to me by the state, and my kids. Yeah. Estonian law separates couples, so wives have different. If she logs in, she will see also kids hanging on her state portal, and then I can do everything from here. Okay, so this is just small preamble. So 99% of the service is online. Yeah, it's important to understand that it enables most of the things that we do, right? It enables most of the things that we do. But it's not, so it's not the technology itself, it's the framing and the mindset behind it. And the same thing happens in education, right? So Estonians are very happy with these results, of course. 4th in the world in terms of ranking. These are the results from 2018. In terms of science, in terms of reading, 5th in the world. In math, 8th in the world. Typically, 3 times is my, typically 3 times more top performance than the average, and typically also the lowest number of low performers than the average in these competitions. And the interesting thing is, and Sonia might throw the computer at me right now, is that because I'm going to say something that is not very, very kind of, there are exceptions. There are exceptions. So there are different approaches to education throughout the world, and Estonia really tries to make it in such a way that education is all minutes are meaningful. So it's not like stress-based or effort-based. It's more like effective and efficient process-based. That's what we try to do. So kids, the school year in Estonia is quite short. We've got 5 periods of 7 weeks. So it's 7 weeks, 1 break, 1 week break, 7 weeks, 1 week break, 7 weeks, 1 week break throughout the year. So it's 5 periods of 7 weeks. The summer vacation is quite long. It's basically June, July, and August, 3 months. And the school days, they are more or less the same as here, if I understood correct today in the morning from Gary. Gary mentioned that typically school begins at 7 and ends at 1. For us, typically begins a little bit later, close to 9, and then it ends at 3, right? So 8:15 to 3 with a 1 hour break in our school. So it's more or less, the school day is more or less the same. This would be if it is like a block, right? But sometimes it's scattered, yeah? In lower grades, the school day is very well organized, very structured. In later grades, it's more like scheduled, right? Because there are so many options offered to students that it's impossible to get a very tight schedule. So 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and the schedules are very dispersed. Edgar, our son, my son and myself, we are husband and wife. Our sons are here with us. They came with us this time. And Edgar, he attends courses in different schools. So his school was not offering all the training, so he takes some courses, subjects, like math, English, something in one school, and then film and something else in another school, because one school cannot offer everything, so they can commute. But for this to happen, then the schedule on 10th, 11th, and 9th, and 12th grades closer to university in terms of passing grades kept. It's not so well organized. But my daughter is 9th grade, and still the schedule then is very compact. Yeah? It's very well organized. So Estonia aims for effective and efficient process, not so much effort related process. So dedication from students is still, of course, expected, but we don't have a heavy tutoring system, for instance, right? So we aim to allow students, young students, to have time for their own hobbies and complementary activities like swimming, being with friends, and cinema, relaxing, not just studying all the time. So there's an attempt to provide a nice balance between the need to perform well and the effort that you personally put into it. Yeah? So it should be effective and efficient, not just intensive, Yes. So. The question now is like, how did Sonia got there? They take this educational mindset, so students like to learn, teachers are highly valued in society. It's not the same case all over Europe, but in Estonia teachers are highly valued. As I mentioned before, there's a long path for you to become an accredited teacher. It's like a medical doctor, it's bachelor, then master's, then some time at the school, and finally at some point then you say, okay, you can teach by yourself. And this happens because schools are very schools are very autonomous. Yeah? So the national curriculum or whatever curriculum schools adopt, because they can adopt national, European, or international curriculums, they prescribe the topics that need to be addressed and the learning outcomes, right? But how do you get to the learning outcomes? Then each school is very autonomous on the decision. And from one school to another, that might be a difference from night and day. So one school can be very playful and do it like this, and the other school can be very traditional and just, raising your hand, asking questions, go to the board. And so it can be very diverse, even between classes. So teachers, they have full autonomy on how they teach. Yeah, full autonomy. There's no prescribed study book, there's no prescribed topic, no sequence of lessons. It's very, very autonomous. They just need to meet the learning outcomes, and that's it. And they really need to meet them because the students go through national exams in 7th grade, in 9th grade, in 12th grade, so they really need to meet them. So it's not like a low risk, and that's why they are so heavily trained, because they need to be very responsible. They need really to make very wise choices, because in the end, if the students, they don't meet these learning outcomes, they will fail the exams, right? So it's important for them to meet. So, but that's this educational mindset. People really like to learn and to explore. They're very curious, and then this digital society that I kind of briefly provided a glimpse really supports this, because it makes life easier. Yeah? Again, it's about efficiency and effectiveness, not so much about effort, right? The fact that things are digital, they allow me not to spend 2 hours going to some public office, standing in line, getting the work done or not, needing to go back to get another document, come back on. So if this is out of your way, we're talking about efficiency, it's not effort. It's not dedication, it's not like I'm willing to queue and do stuff, it's that I can do it in 5 minutes instead of doing it in 5 hours. And this is very important. And this attitude is everywhere in education as well, and that we should be efficient and effective, not effort-based, right? And
I want to ask regarding the you are saying about delivery is autonomous.
Yeah.
They only need to achieve the learning outcome.
Yes.
But how about the assessment? Is it autonomous as well? I mean, the assessment.
You mean in the end, the exam?
Yeah.
The exams? No, they are state exams, national exams. Yeah.
So the state exam, is it for every level?
The state exams are they happened the first time at 7th grade. Sorry, wrong. 5th grade the first time, second time at 9th grade, and the final time at 12th grade.
Right.
Yeah, this is when the state exams happen. 5th, 9th, and then 12th. 5th is just like entering state evaluation. Compulsory education is until 9th grade.
5th grade is what age?
Sorry?
What age is 5th grade?
First grade is 7, so 12. So yeah. So they enter school at 7. They enter school at 7, and they finish with 12th grade with 18, 19. Yeah. So that's the typical age for them to enter university.
But every year, every grade, they will have their own assessment in the school?
They have assessment, but not final, yeah. So assessment is very diverse, right? Assessment is very diverse. So there's assessment through tests, there's assessment through projects, assessment through presentations, assessment through service rendered in the community. So all of this constitutes summative assessment. But summative assessment is not just tests. Test is just one part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. The only moment where tests are predominant, but they are not the only one, but still predominant in terms of weight, is 5th, 9th, and 12th in the exams, because they sit for exams. And again, this forms a part of the grade. So this is called external assessment because it's provided by, but there's also an internal assessment component that goes into forming the final grade. So the final grade will be the exam combined with what we did through their time at school as well.
So every grade, as they move from one grade to another grade, there's learning outcome, right?
Yeah, learning outcomes that need to be met. Yes, yes, yes.
And the assessment is ongoing, so they are formative assessments. It doesn't count for the final grade, just to see where
Feedback.
you are. There is the every semester or term. They
Term.
have term grade, and then they have the final year grade, and then they have the state exams as well.
So the grades are there, yes. There are grades, yes, yes. But on different dimensions, on different, we call them criteria. Yeah. So for each subject, there's 3 to 5 criteria. They can be ability to cope with theoretical concepts. They can be ability to formulate and questions and devise methods to get answers and find answers to these questions. So these are the different criteria, and there are learning outcomes, right? And the grade expresses all of that. But as Sonia mentioned, yes, there's a significant amount of formative feedback. Significant amount. So there's lots of feedback being provided to students. I will show it later in this system.
And everything is shared with
the parents, yeah.
parents.
It's very open, yeah.
So we can see everything.
All digital, yeah, because it's like real time. But if a grade from my kid is popped up today, I'll see it immediately.
I can see the homework, I can see what the teachers provided in that day.
It's not that you can see, that you are expected to see. we get notified if you are not actively involved in the study life of our kids. We get notified. They will ask
You
us.
get notified, yeah, that's the difference. Yeah.
Where are you? You're the parent. Where are you? Yes.
Look at what your children are doing.
Yeah. I'll show it. I'll show it to you in the system later.
Good question.
Yes.
What if the learning outcome is not achieved? What is the consequences?
Well, then they underperform, right? If they totally fail to achieve the learning outcome, then they fail.
They will discuss with it depends if it is in the middle of the year, if it is in the middle of the semester. But usually, because we have formative assessments, this is discussed before we reach to that stage.
So students can be retained in the same
Yeah.
grade.
Sorry, maybe the question is more targeted towards the educator, not the student.
To the educator
Oh,
and
the-
parents.
it's
To the educator is in trouble. An educator that is not able to demonstrate that he or she did the best, everything that he or she could do to meet the learning outcomes is in real trouble. Yes. Yeah, this is the same as asking what if you are if you are a medical doctor and you let your patient die. It's as serious as that. Then there's a huge meeting, discussions inside the school to find out what happened in this case. And it might be sometimes at some external factor, but if it's your responsibility, then you bear the consequences.
By both.
Yeah.
So by the students and by the parents and also by the director.
No, this meeting is not related to that. This is like formal meeting. Yeah? It's like a medical doctor. If you fail, then the board of doctors will come together and see what happened with this patient, right? They need to understand the case, right? So it becomes a study case. It's really, really discussed. It's take it very, very seriously. If a lecturer is not able to get the students to meet the learning outcomes, this is very serious. What Sonia was mentioning is like, you can see that happening if you follow the school life. You can see that students are failing, they're getting behind, and parents get upset with it. They start contacting the schools, but this is during the process, and so there are so many checkpoints that it's very hard for an educator to fail without realizing that he or she is failing, because it's really transparent, the system, right? But if it happens, then it's a very serious case and it's discussed very professionally, yes, with strong consequences for the
And from
educator.
my understanding, David, their technology is really helping them to have a check on these things and to inform
Yeah.
them and to support them.
Yeah, Tariq has a very good point. So one strong consequence of going digital in education, as in other topics, but in education in Estonia, is that the concept of learning analytics is really, really important. So there's a strong narrative on data-informed decision making. Yeah? So all the data that is collected through the system is really used to form decisions regarding the system itself. Yeah? So the topic of learning analytics is really, really, so your field with this specific emphasis is very, very important in this case, because these systems, they generate massive amounts of data, and this data is actively used to shape not just how you run your classes, but how curriculum is shaped and how the higher level decisions by the state are made. So there's strong work being, I will point somewhere in the presentation later on. Yes.
David, yeah, just want to ask, so if I heard it correctly, at age 5, 9, and 12, pupils will have public examination respectively, right? So does it mean that the Estonian education system is very much exam oriented?
No.
No, you don't.
No, quite the opposite. Quite the opposite.
Okay.
It's quite the opposite. Yes. The exams on 5th, 9th, and 12th, they exist as like a capstone. Yeah. But the final grade of the student, let's say I am now assessed on 9th grade. Yeah. My final grade does not depend on the exam. Exam informs the final grade as well as many other factors. Yeah. It's just a national level instrument to ensure the compliance towards learning outcomes, right? So it's like cohesion mechanism, right? So there are 3 checkpoints throughout the learning path, and it is 5th, 9th, and 12th grade. But my grade is not going to be the grade of the exam. It's going to be the grade of the exam and all the other grades. Yeah, and these are combined with different weights and different topics according to different criteria, and then I get the final grade. Yeah? So I can fail an exam and still get a pass grade. Yeah? That allows me to continue to study. So it's not just that. But that one is there because it allows exactly to have this benchmark, national level benchmark, to see how schools are performing towards meeting the learning outcomes in the curriculum. So, but it does not determine the student, not that one. Not that one. So 3 factors: educational mindset. So to get to where Estonia is currently in terms of using technology in education. The digital society is definitely a very important one. The educational mindset that people really like to learn, and then this can-do attitude, also very important, right? So and that's one of the things that keeps me working where I'm working right now. Good ideas are supported. Yeah, good ideas are supported and supported not just by colleagues. They are supported national, statewise, and nationwide. If you have a good idea, then it will be supported. So it's not like, oh, that's very complicated, we'll do it later. It's quite the opposite. It's really good idea, how can we do it? Yeah. And we try to make it happen. So this can-do attitude is felt everywhere in Estonian society. Yeah? It's not, we don't have a, let's say, defensive attitude. It's more like a proactive attitude. If we see an opportunity, then we act upon it. Yes.
So how that happened? Can-do attitude, like over the past 30 years, right? How was that, started, right, to create that kind of culture and attitude?
The can-do attitude, I think it's a reaction from the former oppression, right? There was like 40 years of oppression by Soviet Union where you could not do anything, right? State is mandating what you should do. Yeah, do this, do that, do that. Your life is like heavily regulated, no choice for you.
So the history itself kind of formed this.
Yes, even the digital society comes from there, right? Like when Soviet Union left Estonia, they had to organize themselves to run. They had to ask the question, how are we going to do it? And they felt that doing digital is the easiest way to do it. It's cheaper, it's more effective, it's more efficient, let's do it from scratch. So Estonia as a nation, as a modern nation, Estonia, as you'll see it in the next slide, Estonia has been shaped as a digital nation from the scratch. Yeah? So history-wise, let me go on, and of course, for the companies here, then this innovative startup culture is very important as well. This is prevalent everywhere. Really everywhere. There's tons of these hackathons, meetups, whatever. This mixing universities and schools and companies together, it's really everywhere. Yeah? It's really everywhere. We strongly encourage it. And there's tons of startup enabling mechanisms available in different levels of education so that students can take their ideas, students and lecturers and teachers can take their ideas into products. I will show you eventually one if I get there. As I said, I'm not familiar with this presentation so well. It's the first time I'm doing it. So to address the question of how did we do it? So Estonia has a very interesting history. Yeah, Estonia as a country did not exist until very recently. We celebrated recently 100 years of the 100th anniversary of the Republic of Estonia. Right. So before that, it was never an autonomous country. It was a nation, kind of shared in different regions. Estonians are Finno-Ugric, so they come from the Urals in Russia, and these people they spread to Finland and Estonia and a little bit further down to Hungary. And Hungary got evolved in a slightly different way. Estonians and Finns, they feel very close. They share the same national anthem and the same cultural traits. But as a country, Estonia was only established like today, 105 years ago. Yeah, 105 years ago. So it was occupied by Danish, by Swedes, by Germans, by Russians. The first republic was established in 1918 to 1940. This was the Estonian Republic. That's when Estonians started to think about their own national educational system, because they really wanted to promote national language like Estonian and national culture. From 1920, it was compulsory. Education was compulsory and free for all the 6th grades. Then there was the Soviet occupation for a while, and Estonia was one of the few republics that managed to maintain high-quality education with Estonian language throughout this period. In many of the Soviet republics, they switched into Russian, but Estonians, Latvians, and Lithuanians, they remained in their own language, which proved to be quite important for the present state of affairs, where they are independent. And then in 1991, then Estonia regained independence, and the story that we are telling today comes from 1991. Yeah, so that's where the modernization of Estonian education begins. And this presentation just focuses on that part of the history of Estonian education. So this is again, well, the number that is missed there is like 1992. So that's when the law of education the first law of education was drafted. In 1984, the vocational education reform begins. They start, because you will see later that the education system has different branches and they are all highly valuable, and you can change between all of them at some point, at many points in between. 1996, the national curriculum was formed, and you can see 1996, this is already quite a while ago, and the focus was already on learning outcomes. It's not about like what the teacher wants to teach, it's what we want the students to learn in the end. Yeah? And that's a very big difference. So when we put a course card together, we don't describe what we want to teach. I want to teach this and this and this. No, we describe what we want the student to learn in the end. At the end, the student should know this and this and this and this. And the question for us is like, what should you do so that he learns that? So it's not about what he teaches, it's what about he learns. So this comes from here. Yeah, it's a long time. So it's a long tradition of being student-focused, student-centered, not teacher-centered, right? So this has the impact. Yeah? The digital just helps. Yeah, helps a lot, but this is the impact. Right? With a focus on learning outcome, decentralization, and school autonomy. Yeah, so this is long tradition on this. What we're just discussing, and schools are really autonomous. Yes, they are autonomous to hire their own teachers. I mean, we both work at the public university and teachers as well, and we are not state employees. Yeah, we have a contract with the university, not with the state. And the same thing happens with teachers at the schools. They are hired by the schools, funded by the municipalities and hired by the schools. There's no like national hiring system. And this began here. At the same time, if you look at it, because you are interested in the role of digital in education, at the same time began a program called Tiger Lib. Yeah, Tiger Lib. This program was inspired in a very successful program, equivalent program in Ireland, which is now also one of the European, it was at the time called an European Tiger, and that's why in European context in terms of dynamics of economics, and that's why this program is called Tiger. And this program in 1996 provided schools with computers, internet access, and teacher training. Yeah, so this was in the very beginning. Yeah. All schools, they need to be connected, they need to have computers, and the teachers, they need to be trained on how to use the computers. This was not about software and this and that, it was like enabling. It's infrastructure. Yeah? So infrastructuring is very needed and very known problem in our field of human-computer interaction, because sometimes we play with the solutions without thinking that for this to happen, then this basic stuff needs to be there. Yeah? So this began in 1996, yes? And it also laid a very successful foundation for these public-private partnerships. As I mentioned before, the state is not developing any solution. Yeah? The state agency for digital solutions, it's called the I cannot think about it in English. In Estonian, it's Riigi Infosüsteemi Amet, so it's the Estonian. It's the Estonian Agency for Information Systems. They oversee, yeah, they are responsible for implementing policy, yes, and they oversee these partnerships. But none of the infrastructure is developed by, so there's not one developer in Estonian state, not one. Everything is done by companies. Yeah? And there are multiple solutions. So for the things that we'll talk about in terms of education, there's not like one solution for the functionality that we aim for. The state puts out a tender and many people can provide it, and then they compete. Yeah? And this is what happened with the digital diary that I will demonstrate a bit later. Yes? But this began here. Yes? And then they already concerned with the quality, they started seeking for these external quality assurance agencies to come to Estonia to certify that they were doing it well, then harmonizing with higher education. Then here, this is like transition, this was like an integration policy to allow Russian-speaking Estonians to learn how to speak Estonian. This language immersion program to foster bilingualism so that the Russian-speaking community could integrate well in Estonia if they wanted to. And then by 2001, then all schools were connected to the internet and provided a computer. So this began here. The digital part began here in 1996, and then 5 years later, this is like a milestone. They were able to do it. Everything was kind of there. All the schools were connected to the internet, and they were all provided with computers. This was very successful and very key to the, let's say, digital revolution of the country.
The tea is ready. Whenever you think that you can have a break.
After the next slide?
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's kind of connected.
Yeah.
Maybe before you go there, sorry. I just want to ask regarding the infrastructure. You are talking about the database and everything is linked.
Yeah.
So who managed that database?
X-Road.
The X-Road, it's this Information Systems Authority, yes, of Estonia. They manage it.
That's not private, right?
No, this is state, but they don't manage the database. They manage the let's say, the legal and regulatory framework that enables this. The databases, they are distributed. I mean, the population registry is, of course, in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, right? But database with the grades of your students in your school, it's just connected to this X-Road. So if they apply to my university will get their information from the population registry, their grades from your school, and they will create their records here. So the information is distributed as like in a relational database. Your tables are with you, and you are managing them.
Yes.
No one else is kind of duplicating.
But it's all connected.
It's all connected, yes. It's all connected, yes. And because of this, because the state relies so much on this connection and this infrastructure, Estonia is the first, and as far as I understand, the only country that currently has digital embassies. So embassies that are contracted with other countries that are just data centers, right? So it's a data center in another country that fully replicates this fundamental database. So if there is like a cyber attack or our infrastructure in Estonia gets vaporized, basically it can be just restarted in some other country and you can just connect, that's it. Currently there are 3 of these digital embassies throughout the world. The only known location is Luxembourg. The other 2 are not disclosed for security reasons. Yes. So this is under Estonian law. So that database there, it's like an embassy, right? It's under Estonian law. It's like the data that's inside this data center is run under Estonian law, not under Luxembourgian law, not under some other law, just Estonian law. Like an embassy, right? The moment you enter, you are in that country, right? It's the same thing in this case. So it's fully replicated in 3 locations.
So that is established, this road,
X-Road.
X-Road is established which
year?
Here, in this period, between 1991 and 2001, yeah, it was established there. And but if you go back to the educational setting, the schools and the national curriculum, the schools connected to the internet with computers, they played a significant role in enabling the entire population, because at some point, when this happened, from 2001 and then for 10 years, there was a program where kids would bring parents and grandparents into school to teach them in the evening. So the schools were open and the kids would, so no training was prepared for elder people, right? So the kids, your son and daughter would bring you in and say, come to the school and I will teach what I know. So the schools were open, and this is how older people got trained into using computers. No training, no someone there in front and they checking your teachers bringing classroom. So this happened for 10 years. Yes. And with all the incentives for you to do your tax income online and get the population really going into digital. And apparently, voting is also online and so on. And you can vote as many times as you want, right? You can vote with me and say, oh yeah, I vote for your president, and I'm very happy. And then you vote with your friend and with your colleague. Only the last vote counts, yes? Only the last vote counts. So that you cannot be coerced, right? You are with me, I can force you, let's vote now. Yes, of course. Then you can vote with Tariq, you vote with Sonia. And only the last vote, yeah? Suddenly you go to bed and you vote with your phone, because you just vote with your phone or computer, anything connected to the internet. So currently digital voting is around 55%. 45% are still voting paper, and this is still enabled because it's still very valuable.
Yep.
You can go to the voting place and you can do it again digitally then if you want to, or you can do it on paper. If you really want to do it on paper, you can do it on paper. Totally fine. So it's because it's considered vital for democracy. So all ways of voting are possible. Digital voting is 55% remote. And on place, between this 45%, 25% is paper and 20% is digital, on location. People are afraid of not those. They claim that they are afraid that their vote is not going through in their mobile device. Want to make sure, and they get some receipts. So it's So but in parallel, yes, in parallel. So this is the next slide, and then we break for tea. Yes. So the e-school. And it's not showing here, but there's an E here. The e-school is it's the first web application for the digital diary, and that's the one that I'm going to demo to you. I'm not going to demo e-school, I'm going to demo a competitor, because e-school is just a solution that is provided by a private company, and there are other private companies providing it, Studium and others. I will demo Studium to you. Right? So this is available since 2002, this digital diary, 2002, quite long time ago. Then this central database from the Ministry of Education was created, and this is a database where all the indicators are collected from the different schools and aggregated. So since 2002, all the data in real life is in the Ministry of Education for this data-based decision-making on real-time data. From 2005, this is like professional standards for teachers were reviewed. This is all relatively with education. Some things are not so much related with digital. Free lunch in basic school, so that students could remain at school, not needed to go back home. To be fed and then come back to school. From 2010, inclusive education, so there's no separate schools for kids with special needs, like blind people, deaf people, some learning disorders, so it's all in the same school, no separation, so just education specialists in the school since then, and so on, right? Yes, and so on. Okay, and there was a requirement to digitize all learning materials by 2020. That was met. So this is all pre-COVID. You can see from 2020, right? So the policy that all learning materials should be digitized was issued in 2015 to be materialized in 2020, and now all materials are digitized. Yeah. So books, they exist if you want to have a book, but if you don't want to buy a book, not to buy, but to have a book, you can just use your digital materials, right? So the schools are providing all materials to students. They are giving the books to students, and then by the end of the year, the students bring them back for the textbooks in some topics. But the digital equivalent of the book also exists online. Yes, so it's just that some parents and some teachers, they prefer to use books, and it's so the fact that Estonia is going digital, it's not kind of replacing anything else. It's important to understand, right? So going digital is just one more dimension, yes? So like with the voting and stuff, you can still go to the office and you can still go and get bread online, and get bread face to face. You are not forced to do it digitally, but you can do it digitally. right? So in many cases, you can just choose to do it digitally. So it's not kind of erasing everything else, it's like complementing what was there. And the same thing happens with this. And we have seen this happening with our kids, for instance, right? In the first years, they were taking too many books in the school bag, and notebooks, and currently, if I look at my son, he takes to school his iPad, that's it. It's the iPad, because in the iPad he got access to this. He has, through that, he has this e-school system. He has access to all the digital materials. He's got his notebook. Everything's in the iPad. It's an iPad like this. Yeah? He uses a smaller version of iPad, but that's an iPad, but it could be any other device. So in Estonian schools, they favor this bring your own device approach, but they still have, of course, computers and pads for those that don't have the digital devices, and they have very strict policies regarding using mobile phones in corridors and whatever. So they coexist. The need that you should not be on your YouTube during breaks. So there's no using of your phone, but in class, if the teacher says, let's do something, and you pick up your phone for a presentation, that's totally fine. Yeah? So these two things, they coexist. Yeah?
Is there any assistance given by the government to families who cannot afford any digital devices?
As far as I understand, no.
No. So if they can't afford it, they just have to bring their books.
Or they can use it at school. The digital devices are at school.
Or the school provided.
Yeah.
No,
like borrowed. Yeah? It's not yours. You take it.
And it works with iPad, Android, laptops.
Yeah.
So it's multi-devices.
So the systems are, you can use it with your phone, smartphone. Yes. So all these systems, they are available in all different form factors. Yes. So it's very common to see a student that just did something in Google Drive, for instance, in Google Slides, right? And he's with a phone going through his notes, and he's either remotely controlling the teacher's laptop, or he's asking the teacher, please, next slide, and presenting. Okay. Yeah, it's very common.
They usually use the phone or iPad.
Yeah, not so much computers. They usually not students. University students, they carry computers, not the school. They take phones and iPads, tablets. Not iPads, but tablets in general. Androids, whatever. Yeah, that's quite common. Yes. Okay, so tea.
Yes. So we come back at 11:25.